Hello, and welcome to this week's edition of Tuesday Night Music. I'm delighted to be back with you after a 2-week hiatus. I'm also pleased to announce we have new music this week. I have a brand new composition and a new hymn tune arrangement. We'll start first with the new composition. As mentioned, it is an original work. It's called Sing a Joyful Song. And pretty much from the word go, this melody just takes off. It's delicate, but it's lively and fun, and that is set apart with an eighth note percussive accompaniment to just kind of add to the motion to kind of keep it moving, if you will. It sounds a little classical, if you will. It's fun. The middle section, it changes key, changes character a bit, is a little more lyrical. The accompaniment changes and becomes a bit more what we call syncopated, so it kind of has a push-pull feel to it. And then we go back to that A melody, that kind of light dancing melody. And then we finally conclude the work by changing key one more time, but playing the original melody in the new key, which just so happens to be one of my favorite keys, D flat major. We start in the C, we go to F, C, and then finally to D flat. I hope you enjoy it. Here is Sing a Joyful Song. So the second and final selection is not my own. It is my arrangement, but it is a hymn tune. And those of you that have been watching the Tuesday Night Music know that I like to kind of intermix original works with timeless hymns. That said, this may be a hymn that you're not necessarily familiar with, even though you probably are familiar with the text or the words. This hymn is Alas, and Did My Savior Bleed? And now, before you say, wait a minute, BJ, I know that song, that's At the Cross. Well, you're half right. This text by Isaac Watts was written as a poem, was written as a hymn. Later, a gentleman with the last name of Hudson, Ralph Hudson, added the chorus "at the cross," and so that tends to, depending on what church denomination you're from, you're probably more familiar with that treatment. But the original poem does not have that refrain or that chorus "at the cross where I first saw the light." That was added for the hymn that's actually called "At the Cross." So I have taken the melody that is most traditionally associated with Isaac Watts' poem "Alas, and did my Savior bleed." It's definitely a different character if you're not familiar with it, but both tunes are correct. It just depends, what you're more familiar with. So at any rate, I liked this particular melody. It's called Avon, A-V-O-N, or Avon perhaps. I basically just kind of give it, there's no real surprises other than I kind of play around with some of the harmonizations a bit. So some of the harmonizations are not necessarily what you would find in your songbook, but that's the fun sometimes of doing these arrangements. So pretty straightforward. Starts with an introduction, and then we hear the melody presented in the bassoon voice in the lower register, and the accompaniment is on top for a change. And then after that first time through, we carry the melody up an octave with just the strings in what we kind of sometimes call a choral style. So this is going to sound a little more like hymn singing, if you will. There's not as much movement. It's everything kind of moves together for the most part harmonically, and there's not too much independence. And then finally, after quoting that last phrase, we hear the introduction, which now becomes the conclusion to the work. So I hope you enjoy this arrangement. It is "Alas, and did my Savior bleed." Well, as always, thank you so much for joining me. I hope you'll join me again next week. As we are now in the month of November, we're going to kind of begin to introduce some Thanksgiving kind of hymn tunes and original compositions that just sort of draw us into kind of this idea of gratitude over the next couple weeks. So I hope you'll come back and watch with me or listen. As always, if you're watching on YouTube, be sure to hit the like button and subscribe to my channel if you're not already. And if you're on Facebook, Just follow me at BJ Meyer Music on your Facebook page. Click the like button on that page there. And then lastly, if you have the financial means and you'd like to like what you're hearing and you'd like to contribute to my efforts, head over to bjmeyermusic.com/donate and consider making a one-time gift there. Thank you so much. Until next week. Bye-bye.